We find ourselves rapidly progressing from a yellow alert to a red alert in both the world economies and world politics. In this week's second video, we will take a look at what we can expect in the coming week in the gold, silver, and precious metals, as well as the commodities market. Let's get started. You know, security systems work on a progression from green to yellow, then from yellow to red. When things become extremely challenging, as they have now, you know that the red alarm is triggered. When a red alarm is sounded, everyone is on high alert, and at any moment, anything can happen. Currently, if we look at the situation, there are those who underestimate the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. They argue that Israel has always been in conflict with Hamas, and it's just the same old situation. However, it's been reported that a massive American warship has approached the region, and there are rumors of a Chinese warship moving in that direction as well. Additionally, with Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and Turkey in the mix, various countries that could be indirectly or directly affected or involved in this war, the Middle East has entered one of its most complex periods. From a geopolitical perspective, we may be in a time when alarms are yellow in some countries and red in others, given the potential for the conflict to spread. Especially, as I've explained, wars tend to progress gradually, starting with economic reasons. We've seen this happen since the inception of the channel. It's the result of economic inefficiencies and ultimately, when they have no other option, they flip the table. Before allowing a second power to rise, they flip the table. Afterward, the cards are reshuffled. In this regard, we are currently in a phase of the Ukraine conflict. Hopefully, the third and fourth stages won't develop rapidly, but it's likely to evolve into something more significant in the short term. Unfortunately, as I've been saying for months, raising interest rates rapidly is a necessity to control inflation. But that, too, will create significant problems later on. What are these major problems? The increased bond yields imply that there will be a substantial loss in long-term bonds if you need access to money in the short term. But this doesn't just concern you, it's the entire bond market, all banks, and the entire financial system that represents the risk between companies. Their accounting treats it as if nothing has happened, even though there are significant losses. As I mentioned in a recent article by bank analysts, it was determined that 75% of America's major banks didn't hedge their positions, and some observations were made about why they didn't hedge them. Because in the last 40 years, such a rapid rise in the bond market hasn't occurred. They believed it would eventually turn around and have somehow tried to keep it afloat. However, what I'm saying is that, at this point, you have these interest rates rapidly rising again, from 0 to 0.6%, and let me tell you, the worldwide market had $22 trillion worth of these papers with negative interest rates. Today, there's nothing left like that, and interest rates vary in the 4s, 5s, 10s, or 20s, depending on the bond. In such an environment, if you want to convert them back into cash, there are substantial dramatic losses. They are trying to hide these losses on their balance sheets, acting as if they won't need any of this. However, once the price of oil and all costs, in other words, commodity prices, starts rising, they won't be able to lower interest rates again. Therefore, they're forced to keep them high, and as they stay high, the losses on the balance sheets start to become real. If people want to withdraw their money from the bank, the money isn't there. Therefore, a systemic crisis can be triggered.